Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 28th Wiseburg Unified School District Board meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 5 o'clock p.m. Wendy, do we have any public comments on closed agenda items?
I do not have any closed public comments.
Okay, thank you. Seeing that we have no comments, we will now recess the closed session at 5:01 p.m. and we will reconvene to open session at 6 o'clock p.m. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 28th Wiseburg Unified School District Board meeting. I want to welcome those here in public today and also those joining us online as well. With that, we're going to go right to we're going to actually take roll call first. Where's Wendy, though? We don't do anything without Wendy, so.
Very smart.
Well, in the meantime, while we wait, oh, there she is. Thank you, Wendy. Wendy, would you like to take roll call?
Ms. Canetta? Here. Ms. Kathy? Present. Mr. Van Willis?
Present.
Mr. Martinez?
Present.
And Dr.
Thank you. Dr. Buell, would you please lead us in a prayer for that?
Again.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no action items to report from closed session this evening. We have a relatively short agenda. Today we do have public hearing on textbooks and instructions, and then we will also have a presentation by NAZ on our update number 6 with regards to facilities. So looking forward to that as well. At this time, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll
Second, Joanne. Second, Roger. All in favor? Let's not forget that. Aye. All right. Now I think we're going to open up the public hearing. I think we're going to open up at 6:05 p.m. Blake, any comments here?
So each year we are mandated to come forward and speak to the board, offering a resolution having to do with our textbooks, making sure that all children in our district have access to resources for learning. This resolution does that, and it lists all the books that we do have available. We are in the process of adopting a new math resource, as you know, followed in the following years with a new reading and writing textbook. What you don't see here is Writer's Workshop. It's not a textbook, but it's a practice. So we have that also going.
Okay, thank you. I think no comments, right, on public hearing?
No, I think we just open it for public comment.
Right. So I think any public comments? Right. So I think we can close at 6:06. And now public comments on non-agenda items, and I have 2 cards here. First one is from Sarah Burris. Hello, Sarah. Welcome. There's a little button. There you go. So,
Okay, hi, Sarah Burris, hello.
welcome.
I just want to put on the record that I do think it's completely ridiculous and unnecessary that we change our district logo at this time. Enough money, energy, and time has been put into changing the names of all of the schools and those logos already. How much energy must we be spending on it? I'm not sure the exact amount of money, but I have heard rumors that it'll cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to already replace existing signage, etc. If you also choose to take a step for our district logo and signage, it will be even more. That money can be spent on much more valuable and desperately needed services for our students. Why not channel all of that money and energy into more programs that address our ever increasing need for programs related to our children's mental health and wellness? If you want to revisit in the future, I get it, but now is not the time.
Thank you. Next. Next person is Robert Wong. Welcome.
You. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Wong. My wife Annie and I have a daughter, Robin, who attends DV Connect High School, and a son, Matthew, who attends DV Connect K-8, and we're Wiseburn residents. Our objective tonight is to ask for the board's help to advocate for our kids, as well as all the kids at Da Vinci, and to be specific, when concerns about students' mental health and safety have been raised by us on more than one occasion over the past couple of years, in the spirit of protecting students, the school administration has not responded in kind. Instead, the responses we've received are best characterized by a pattern of hostility, antagonism, and retaliation. We've been treated like our daughter or our family has perpetrated a crime against the school. So I'm speaking about the Da Vinci High School. We have raised concerns over the following types of incidents: a sexual harassment incident by another student that affected my daughter and other students, a verbal abuse incident against our daughter by a volunteer mentor on the DV robotics team last October, a manipulation of student leadership positions by multiple volunteer mentors on the DV robotics team. And also we made 2 CPRA requests related to robotics issues. So responses from the school administration have included the following: Michelle Rainey saying to us, quote, "This may not be the right school for you." The school reclassified the verbal abuse incident as a communication problem. The abusive volunteer mentor was allowed to continue working on behalf of the school even after the school administration acknowledged her abusive behavior. And for your information, the school administration has been made aware of at least 2 more incidents of abuse by the same volunteer since last October. Also, the school administration engaged its attorney this past week to falsely allege that I accessed the DV mailing list and used it to contact minors at the school, and that never happened. So those are the problems we've been facing. The implications of the school administration's behavior have been as follows: the tarnishment of our daughter's reputation, who by the way is a straight A student, the tarnishment of our family's reputation, the gaslighting of my daughter, my wife, and myself, the continued exposure of all the Da Vinci students on the robotics team to verbally abusive behavior such as shaming, embarrassment, and undue criticism, and the manipulation of student leadership selection results impacts all 24 of the students who applied for leadership, and seniors typically count on these leadership positions as pivotal content for their college applications. This is just a high-level summary of what we've gone through during the last couple of years. I have to tell you that we were very apprehensive and scared to come forward publicly like this. In our experience, the school administration has demonstrated that it's not shy about retaliating, but we decided to come here tonight because it's the right thing to do. So in closing, I'd like to reiterate that we are here asking for your help. My family and I would like to partner with the board itself to share our experiences in detail and fight for the advocacy that all DV students deserve. So please let me know the next step or steps to engage you on. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the public comments this evening. As a friendly reminder, for the board bylaws 9323, we're not allowed to respond to the public comments. I think that's
In the meeting.
in
We're not
the
allowed
in
to
the meeting,
respond
correct,
in the
yeah,
meeting.
correct.
So this means you never.
Right. Thank you. I think now, we will I'll turn it over to Blake for an introduction, on the special presentation.
We have a short presentation here today.
I'm just kidding. We have a very comprehensive presentation today, update number 6, our bond program. I think we'll see some highlights, as we move forward in planning our facilities, looking at all our major projects to include, all of those that we talked about, the field project, the modernization, safety upgrade at Del Air, as well as, some other projects that Noemi will share that, either both are and are not bond projects, but figure we give an all-encompassing. I think that one of the issues that we'll face or see is a money issue. You know, it's the money gets spent very quickly, and so Noemi will sort of outline some of the budgetary challenges that we may face, and also some recommendations for fixing that.
Welcome, Noemi.
Great to be back. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Silvers, members of the audience. My name is Noemi Aguilar-Zamudio. I'm the District's Bond Program Manager. Okay, let's get started. So it appears that we have a short agenda, but as Dr. Silvers indicated, we have several projects that we have been working on. So we'll start off with very in-depth, I would say, update on all of our projects, Series 8 projects. We will then dive into the actual project budgets and schedules. I will then provide a brief update on the Weisberg Pleasant GCD Studio project, and then we will close with some general updates. Okay, so the first project is the network infrastructure project. As you know, this is a two-part project. We have been working with both LPA and NAC on the data center assessment portion of the work. We have since engaged NAC architects to start developing the construction documents for the data center improvements project. I've outlined a schedule on screen here, but in your packets, in your board packets, I've included the full agenda. That way it's easier for you to see. I know it's hard to read from here. The assessment portion was completed in July by LPA. NAC has been working on the construction documents, and we expect to be done by the around mid-November, so that we can submit this project to DSA. Really, the focus here is the construction piece. I want you to focus your attention to that. We're hoping to have DSA approval, which is Division of State Architect approval, by the end of March or around mid-March, so that we can start construction on April 1st of 2024. This is roughly a 60-day project, and our goal is to be able to complete the project before summer, so that once summer hits, we will be ready to implement the network infrastructure projects. Which leads me to my next update. We have since engaged, the last update we had issued an RFQ for a company. We didn't receive any responses. We engaged various companies, and now we are we have started actual communications and did the process of the actual assessment with Cisco. Are you able to move this screen? No, it's not covering. Thank you. Or down.
You're blocking the presentation, aren't you?
I am. I don't need to be seen. You can hide. Yeah, I don't want to see me. Oh, I'm the one that closes. Okay. Thank you. So Cisco, like I said, they have been engaged on, and they have been brought in to start the process of defining the scope for the network assessment project. We are scheduled to start the assessment starting next week on October 4th. It's going to take them about 3 to 5 weeks to complete the assessment, plus about a week for the report. So we're looking at a total of about 6 weeks for that report to be completed. The next project is the Del Air Elementary School Modernization and Safety and Security Project. The selected firm for this project is NAC Architects. We had our project kickoff meeting on August 11th. We started the site analysis and programming phase, which is about a 30-day process, which we completed on September 11th. Design phase has been compressed. Typically, it's about 9 months for this type or size of project, but we have been able to compress it to about 6 months. You'll see line item number 30, entitlements, notice of exemption. I'm showing this line item here. This is our environmental or CEQA process, the California Environmental Quality Act process. For this type of project, I suspect it'll be a quick categorical exemption. Therefore, it's just showing 90 days. In terms of bid and award, our goal is to overlap our bidding and award process while we're waiting for DSA approval so that we can be ready to put this project and start construction October of 2024. Now, one thing that I want to point out here is that because we have completed the programming phase and we have started schematic design, I've asked NAC to provide a rough order of magnitude, which is that program ROM bullet point that you see there. This is strictly based on several site walks with their consultants, with us, and all of their engineers, basically their mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural engineer, to review the overall scope of work for the modernization. And we received a very high level program cost estimate at $7.5 million. As you can see to the left, we show the project budgets that you have seen at every update that I have provided. We are approximately, can't see them with my glasses from here, $850,000 over budget. So we have some options to consider, and I'll dive more into project budgets as we get further into the presentation. But I want to highlight that we're just starting. We're just starting schematic design. I'll have a better understanding at the end of schematic design. I'll get a true cost estimate then, again at the design development stage at the end of it, and then again at the construction documents phase. We have a couple of options. We can value engineer or de-scope now some of the scope to meet our hard cost budget, which is $6.6 million, or we continue to design at the $7.5 million. And the reason I have a couple of options is because we have two large ticket items that are creating this $7.5 million cost. $3 million alone is roofing, replacing the roofs. The roofs have surpassed their life cycle. That site has experienced a lot of leaks over the years, and they definitely need to be replaced. The other big ticket item is the HVAC units, replacement of all of the HVAC units, which have also surpassed their life cycle. The option that I have, and I've reached out to Tim Carty, who is your bond counsel, to see how quickly could we be able to tap into our Series B dollars. I remember early on when he was presenting to the board, he mentioned that since the first series, which was much smaller than originally anticipated, we could potentially tap into Series B a year earlier. He has confirmed that the earliest I can tap into that is June of 2025. Which would allow us to create potentially two phases of this modernization project. As you can see, construction right now is showing 13 months. For this level of project, we don't really need 13 months, but because every dollar counts, I don't have the money to for interim housing. We have to be able to take advantage of 2 summers. So as it is, we would have to sequence the project anyway. We have not gotten into the weeds of those details yet. It's still too early, but we're starting to look at the big picture. If we treat it as 2 phases, we could potentially do the modernization project as phase 1 within our budget, and then do the roofing project, or at least those roofs that could wait perhaps another year and a half. As part of phase 2. We know that the money is going to come in around June of 2025. This project is scheduled to continue anyway, so it's perfect. But it is a risk, obviously, proceeding without having the money in place, because we would be awarding one contract with 2 phases, or we just simply decide to postpone phase 2 and award at a later date. Like I said, we have options. The other thing that I've done is we've brought in a roofing contractor. As a matter of fact, he was on site at Del Air today, walking all of the roofs to provide a condition assessment of all of the roofs, so that they can help us prioritize need. Maybe as part of this modernization project, rather than replacing all the roofs at once, we simply focus on those roofs that are an immediate need. And then face again the rest of the roof. So we are looking at some options, but I want to bring this to your attention right away.
Remind me too, I believe that at Del Air, we have the HVAC, our rooftop units, right?
Mhm. Correct,
Yeah, every roof too.
yes. And all roofs need to be, according to the facilities master plan, all roofs need to be replaced. And all units need to be replaced. Those were their top category 3 items that needed to be replaced.
Are you
That's their
asking,
lifespan.
are you asking us to make a decision tonight about which route to go, or you're just bringing it to our?
I'm just bringing it to your attention, but I mean, I would love to hear your feedback if you have an opinion either way.
Do they go together so that you can't really replace the roof without replacing the HVAC? It doesn't
No.
matter?
No.
Well, replacing the roof sounds really important because I know we've had leaks, so and costs are just going up. So would we have a fixed price bid on the phase 1 and phase 2?
The value of proceeding with designing based on the entire scope of work is that we would be able to bid it as one project, but with 2 phases. And maybe phase 2 could be treated as an alternate, whether, once we know that money comes in, then we award that, we proceed. Or if it doesn't come through, which there's no reason why, Series B wouldn't come through, that's the only risk, then we just elect not to award. But at least you lock in those dollars. Today, 2024 dollars. My concern if postponing it to a much later time is now you're paying inflation, which, as you indicated, Joanne, the costs continue to increase.
No, I mean,
Yes.
question. In terms of the overall design, when do you anticipate the presentation, whether it's by yourself or in this case,
AC,
making a presentation to the board to show us the details of the scope that we're talking about? I mean, it sounds like I wouldn't want the design to go too far ahead without us having an opportunity to preview that, so a recommendation would be right around the completion of that schematic.
and that's exactly around the time that you're gonna receive it. I mean, it's very rare for us to, and you guys may be familiar with this, but it's very rare to get a program wrong this early. But because the budget it has been a concern of mine from day one, I asked them to provide a ROM based on the scope of work. And it's very detailed. It is conservative because there's a lot of unknowns until we actually start designing, which they have. They've started schematic designing. They're gonna start formulating actual diagrams to have something to be able to share with the board. And I would suspect it would be in the next couple of months, probably by the November update.
I have another question.
Yes.
Chances are many of us in the room have had roofing experience in our homes and other places. So we know that there are options for the composition of the roofing materials. So when we are getting a bid that's over our costs, are we looking at roofing materials? Does DSA require certain kinds of roofing materials, or do we get a chance to pick what we use, or how does it work to balance the materials with the cost?
You generally want to go with something similar that's already in place. And the value of bringing in these contractors, we've invited Garland and Tremco to come in and provide a condition assessment. Garland was out today. We're expecting Tremco to do the same, just so that we can compare recommendations, condition, and cost. And then we'll be able to provide some options. We have also district standard specifications that we can refer to. So we have that in place as well.
All right, good, thanks.
Right.
Same thing, of course, for the HVAC, I'm sure.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. Oh, I thought, sorry. Okay, moving on to 135th and Aviation Sports Complex. The selected firm for this, which actually this project you'll be awarding tonight is PBK Architects. We did start the project already. We kicked off on September 5th. Hope that's okay. We're eager to get started, and they had no objections to the contract, so it was a simple process. We started on September 5th, and we are currently in the programming phase for this project. I don't have a rough order of magnitude yet. We just started this month, but I suspect I'll have one by our next update so that we can determine where we are in terms of budget as well. Probably the only thing that I would bring to your attention here is two things. The entitlements process, you'll see that it says CEQA. This is a much longer duration and compared to the categorical exemption. Because this is a change in use and the facility used to be school buildings, now you're adding an actual sports complex. We have to do a thorough assessment of the environmental impacts such as sports lighting, noise, traffic, aesthetics, just to name a few of the items that we have to look at. I'll mention it later in the presentation, but we currently have a request for qualifications / proposals out for environmental consulting services so that we can start this process as soon as possible. So it runs a parallel path at the same time as design so that there's no delay in the process. The other thing is the construction. With this project, we're targeting starting fall 2024 and being done May 2025. These are the items that I want, or the things that I want you to just keep in the back of your mind. We don't have a rough order of magnitude for this project. We have $6 million allocated, but it's a fairly complex project that we're adding multi-level sports, some concessions, sports lighting, restrooms, storage, shade structures, potential bleachers, maybe not, scoreboards, parking. It does add up. So I know this is a much needed project, but we may want to consider at least sequencing the project. So maybe we start a little later around the time that we can tap into the Series B dollars so that that'll free up some flexibility, give us some wiggle room to allow the other projects such as the Delaware minor modernization and safety and security projects move forward. We have options, nothing to decide right now. I wanted to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I know we had talked about, I think last time, about the demolition of the building that's on site. Is that included in the timeline here?
Yes,
And
that would be included. Well, we don't have a cost yet,
Right.
but I mean, we have a
Would it be
budget.
part of the budget? I
Yes,
guess?
absolutely. Yes, and we've since then, we've gone in there, we've cleaned up the site, we've removed the tall weeds. So it's ready for a few more months.
Yeah, no, I guess I was just wondering, since we hadn't anticipated demoing that particular building when we initially looked at this project, whether that would add to the timeline because of the need to demo and all of that.
No, that's all incorporated in the timeline for this project. Okay, moving on to Weisberg High School soccer field. Because this is a smaller scale project, the PBK is also the selected firm, by the way. We also kicked off this project on September 5th. They have been able to provide me with a program rough order of magnitude, which, because like I said, we were prioritizing trying to get this field to be constructed early next year. You can see by our schedule, we would be starting in April, basically in spring of 2024 and being done by June 2024. The concern here is that our budget for that construction cost is $1.5 million. The ROM that came in is already at 2.7. To take it a step further, just the field alone, the turf, just the carpet is $1.7 million. That does not include the soil prep, abatement, site work, bleachers, scoreboard, fencing, ADA improvements, so on and so forth. The 2.7 does though. These are just rough numbers still. Again, they're going to be further defined and fine-tuned as we progress through each phase. However, once we complete the schematic design, we'll have a better understanding before we get into design development. At that point, we need to start making very hard decisions by schematic design because we don't want to go too far, like Roger said, and then find ourselves in a predicament once we get to design development. Any questions? Here, I have provided a couple of options, for your review. Pretty much the field is the same. For NFHS requirements, they require, what is it, 110 by 55 yards. That's the minimum requirement. In these options, option one, we have 100 yards by 60 yards. I've also, included some pros and cons for your review. We have provided two options. In this first option, you can see that we're showing permanent bleachers that would seat approximately 732 spectators next to the existing shade structures that are built right in front of the parking lot. Yes.
I thought it was 735.
I know.
Yeah, I'm kidding. No, my question, my question is, yeah.
Uh-huh.
What do you have the total cost of the actual bleachers themselves? Like, what if that was removed from scope?
Yes, I do.
And we're just looking at more of a portable?
I do. So bleachers are, well, for the next option, so it's about $550,000 for bleachers in this option, and a little bit over $600,000 for the next option, option two, because it's additional seats. But in this particular option, so that would be $600,000 roughly that would be removed off the top. The scoreboard, for example, it varies. They start, if you go with a very simple scoreboard, you're looking at about $40,000, and then it goes up from that, depending if you want screens, something like this, panels, or just typical scoreboard. Then you have your fencing. Fencing we have to install in this location here, because they're also, PBK is also proposing fencing plus netting to keep those balls from going out. So there's some fencing here and some fencing potentially across here. The scoreboard would be installed here, bleachers along here, these little red dots that you see here, that's the existing sports lighting, which we hope to reuse. We have requested drawings, and we've contacted Musco Lighting as well to see, to get more of the current specifications to make sure that they're going to work with what we're trying to plan for this project. And like I said, the teams, the coaches in the official area would be along here.
Is the Musco lighting there already?
Yes, that's existing.
Oh, great.
That's definitely our cost savings. Option number two is a little smaller. It's 100 yards by 55 in width. So it's more of a narrow field, but it's still within the guidelines. Very similar. The only difference here is that we have swapped the actual bleacher area. And in this case, the actual public is not in direct view of the sun in the evening. So normally they play the games after school. Something to consider, we don't have shade structures. Adding shade structures adds a whole lot of more money. Plus, we have very limited real estate. If we start looking into adding shade structures, then you would have to definitely reduce the number of bleacher seats because of the footings for the structure itself, even though it would be a cantilever.
Well, plus with the stage structures, the sun's still coming.
At that time, it'll be right in their face anyway, right? So this is technically, even though it's a bit, like I said, narrow field, it still meets the guidelines, the requirements. It allows for the public not to be in direct view of the sun.
When you say still meets the guidelines, as in CIF compliant?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to be sure.
yes.
Because
Thank you.
long story short is, back in the day, we actually had a jog at fire lane, which is why you see a little jog towards the bottom left-hand side of the corner. Because in the original concept for that field, the fire lane was a little bit further out in a straight shot, and that would have made the soccer field non-compliant. So we jogged the fire lane, got fire department approval ahead of time, this was probably 7-8 years ago, so that the fields could eventually be CIF compliant. So we want to make sure that it is.
This is.
Good, all right. Thank
This
you very
is
much.
compliant. The only a couple of cons, again, it's smaller, and two, because now you have public up here, the restrooms are down here, they're just not in as close proximity. But I don't think they would mind the walk in comparison as having the sun directly in their face. And in this case, the kids, the players can use the existing shade structures and maybe huddle under that or to be in the grass area there as well. And you get to increase the number of bleachers if we move them to this section over here. You would be getting 854. And like I said, this would bring the cost of the 854 to about a little bit over $600,000 for bleacher seats.
So Noemi's, aside obviously from some of the cost implications, is option 2 the recommendation?
Option 2 is a recommendation. I have shared both options with Da Vinci. I have also taken the liberty, I hope that's okay, to see if there's any way they would be willing to contribute towards this project, perhaps in the form of a joint use agreement. Obviously, we're not signing anything, but at least start those conversations now. I just did that today. I'm hoping to hear something soon. Because this is a project that everyone has been anticipating for quite some time.
Is Da Vinci, have you made Da Vinci aware of the cost increase?
I have. Moving on to Holly Glen Elementary School TK Transitional Kinder Conversion Project. The selected firm is Corrigan. We kicked off the project, our design, on September 11th. And then here's another project that we're trying to expedite because there is definitely a need to have these TK classrooms ready by August of 2024. As you can see, our construction budget was $900,000. And our program rough order of magnitude already came in at $1.6 million. What can I say? I'll show you why. If you don't have any questions on the schedule here, I'm going to go directly to the floor plan.
I just, as you go to the next one, I just wanted to make a general comment.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're talking about the budgets and the projects, right? And obviously a lot of these right now are over budget.
Mm-hmm.
The thing to keep in mind is that these numbers were based on a very diagrammatic facilities master plan with no information or any designs whatsoever.
And no inflation built in.
No inflation. As the architects are brought on board, you start to develop drawings, the project and the scope begins to take more shape, and thus allows the district, us, to be able to make better cost projections and estimates, and the budget, well, let's say the cost is more defined. The budget might not necessarily move. That's something that, which is why I'm asking for the presentations on schematics so that we can look at scope and phasing. Right. And how we're going to move forward with these individual projects. But the initial budgets were based on very diagrammatic facilities master plans with very little information.
Correct.
Okay, just so.
2 parts, exactly what you said. And the second part was our limited series A.
Correct.
Bonds, yeah.
Yeah,
25 million.
I appreciate that comment, Roger, because this isn't so much of a missed budget or misallocation of funds or anything of that nature. This is simply, this is the art that we have to kind of come up with to be able to find out what projects we can and can't do, what we can value engineer out if we need to, how we can phase. I mean, this is part of the magic that, we'll look to Noemi to do, and we'll have to kind of consider, in relation to the next Series B draw, so that we do complete all of these projects in a responsible way. So I really appreciate that comment.
And in fact, the way I see it, we're being extremely responsible because we're trying to get a hold. It's basically from day one of that budget, by trying to get these early cost estimates so that before we move along too far in the process. Just to give you just some perspective, this is the existing site plan. This is the building that we're looking to retrofit, which is the existing CDC Child Development Center. That is currently underutilized. It's primarily used by CDC, but after school, therefore, during the day is underutilized. So the master plan, on the other hand, had planned a new building right around where this red arrow is, at approximately $5 million. In this option, although we are technically saying that it's coming in at 1.6 million, that is by far a better option than $5 million, in my opinion. And part of the reason why it's costing as much is because, again, here, this gives you an idea of the existing building. These red walls or these areas are all existing. These are the restrooms in these classrooms. All of these classrooms are currently undersized for TK. TK requires, if you're retrofitting or touching or modernizing existing facilities, they require a minimum of 1,250 square feet, plus a restroom, an outside sink, and storage. These are under 1,000 square feet, even with the restroom, so they don't meet those requirements. That's why we have to retrofit. And looking at the project drawings, by the way, Corgan just started September as well. I mean, they have been amazing to work with. They've been on it. We went through trying to find our complete set of drawings in our plan well here, and we found just mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, no structural. Structural being the key drawings that we needed to confirm that these walls were not, in fact, load-bearing walls, that they were not shear walls. In looking at the drawings and talking to those few drawings that we had and talking to Corgan, they continue to proceed on the assumption that only certain walls, basically the outer walls and perhaps this middle wall, would be load-bearing. Very rare to see all of the interior walls to be load-bearing. We reached out to the former architect to see if we can get a copy of their digital complete set. They were unable to find it either. We took it a step further. In a very short time, we went directly to DSA and asked them to provide the set. Fortunately, they responded very quickly, which was very surprising. And they sent us the full set of drawings, plus the addendum where it shows this building. And thankfully, we found the structural drawings. The bad news is that we have confirmed that every single one of these walls is in fact a load-bearing wall, which is very, very surprising. The structural engineer was wondering why they did it that way. Now, this project, which should have been quite simple, is quite extensive now because we're going to have to retrofit structurally all of these areas where we're removing the wall. We're gonna have to add beams, reinforce the walls, and it's in multiple locations. Here you can see the proposed. This one we're not touching because there's no way to expand without touching the fire riser, the main MDF, main distribution frame, or the electrical room. So we're not touching this side. Basically taking advantage of this whole area to create 4 appropriately sized and evenly sized TK classrooms with a collaboration room with pass-through that way both teachers can communicate. They would each have a restroom as required by the TK guidelines. So definitely the designs make sense. It's like I said, it's $1.6 million, but it's $1.6 million well spent in comparison to a brand new building. I took it one more step further. I contacted American Modular System to compare the cost of bringing in a modular building, a new modular building, that because they already fabricate TK size classrooms. They have a pre-checked DSA pre-check option. Unfortunately, the cost would exceed $1.8 million just for the building itself. Doesn't include any customization of our district standards, which will bring the cost of $200,000 up. And it also doesn't include any of the site work and prep. So that would exceed over $2.8 million. Again, this is still the better option.
No, I have a question. Given that these additional structural walls may not have been necessary, I'm not going to say they were or they weren't, let's assume they were not necessary. How do we avoid that? Because that's obviously extra construction costs in the original build, and now it's leading to additional costs here. Who's watching out for that?
The structural, well, all of the sub-consultants, mechanical, electrical, landscaping, structural, they're all under the architect of record. Technically, the architect of record serves as the eyes, the second set of eyes. They have to be able to review all of their drawings, coordinate their drawings, and keep that on check. In addition, we will also be reviewing the drawings. once we are, hopefully we'll be able to bring construction managers as well as we get further along for additional constructability review in the process. So we'll have multiple eyes looking at this, but it starts at day one with the architect reviewing their sub-consultants and coordinating those drawings to try to fix or catch these potential errors, omissions, or in this case, additions, which would be a cost, no matter what. Any of those would be a cost to the district.
Well, I mean, one quick question. Coalition of Adequate School Housing CAF just recently announced an apportionment for TK. Are we gonna be eligible for that? No?
We're definitely applying. So I know that King Consulting provided a presentation at the last board meeting. We have been meeting with them, keeping them in the loop. They have all of the current information on all of the projects in terms of our schedules. So I am actively trying to tap into every potential dollar. You'll find that based on the information that King Consulting provided last month, the ones that we're gonna go after first are the solar projects because they're the first ones in line to start construction. Like I said, I'm just trying to get my hands on money for these projects as soon as possible. But even with those apportionments, the earliest that we would be able to get any money from the state would be end of 2026, but more realistically, 2027, which by then is too late for what I need.
Just, I guess, building on Jen's point about the, who's overseeing it. I'm assuming that the district didn't have someone like you on board when the last project was done. So I'm hopeful, that with your additional eyes,
Yeah.
we'll be able to,
We are.
And
don't forget, I
some
have-
of these problems.
And aside from myself, which I attend every single meeting, I am involved in everything. We have Elise. Elise is not only a licensed architect, but she's our senior construction manager. So she will be reviewing and she attends all of the meetings as well.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
have
I mean,
an
I
extra
just
set of
think-
eyes at just our team alone.
Yeah, and I think that that's like, it's just another layer of us trying to make sure that these funds are being well spent and that we're doing everything that we can to stretch these dollars as far as they can and all of that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Could I add to, I mean, this was, I'm gonna say it was a $6 million project to rebuild, above, on the playground, actually, at Old Cabrillo, down at Hollywood. It was a much more expensive program. And if you take into account how much we're seeing increases in the project cost, probably was a $10 million or an $8-9 million project, really, when it's all said and done. So it's actually it's making good use of facility space that we already have. So it's just repurposing, so it actually is a really good stretch or use of dollars.
Absolutely. Okay, we have another TK conversion project. This one is at Del Air. NAC is the architectural firm working on the modernization, so we have asked them to provide a services fee proposal to include that. This is a much smaller project that we just started on September 11th. I don't have a cost estimate yet, but I am not as worried about this one because we're just simply adding a restroom in the sink, and I'll show you in the next slide. We have approximately $375,000 allocated for this project, and I'm hopeful that we can make it work with that.
Can you remind me why we have different firms to do different TK conversions?
Because NAC is already at Del Air, and this is at Del Air, so rather than putting it out to the entire pool as a new project, we decided to ask the architectural firm already working on the larger scale project. It would be more cost effective in this case.
Okay.
So this is the existing site plan. This is the building that building G that we're looking to retrofit. It's also a tile development center. Here you have the floor plan that you can see for reference. This is already in a pre-K classroom that is already adequately sized. It already has, not only one restroom, but it has 2 restrooms, the sink cabinet and storage. So this one's ready to go. We're not doing anything. Really comes down to this 2 classrooms. The way these 2 classrooms are separated are by an accordion wall. Here you can see this little jagged line. It allows us the opportunity to and flexibility, which I think is key, because we need a TK classroom, we can keep it open at the restroom in this corner where there's already water, there's already a sink there. Adding the sink cabinet right outside and potentially adding some cabinets here for that storage. This whole little section will meet those requirements, and it provides this oversized room. In the event that down the road we don't need this TK room, we can still close it and have to adequately size regular classrooms.
So in this case, it became a benefit by having an accordion wall, not another.
Yes.
Not another
Yeah.
sheer wall.
No.
Which could have been there.
Exactly.
As we just saw.
I wish there would have, that wouldn't be incurring any of it. And allows, again, that flexibility. Okay, getting to the real stuff, the project budgets. So Series A, as I said, we had $25 million. From those $25 million, 2.5 million goes right off the top for program administration fees. Then another 10% is set aside for program contingency for those unforeseen conditions or unforeseen new projects that Blake might add. So these projects here in orange were the original Series A projects when we first started. The total for that was $21.8 million, just slightly over, but extremely manageable that I could cover that from our program contingency. So we were off to a great start. Then it was determined that there was a need for TK classrooms, these two projects in green. That brought our new revised total to $23.5 million, already putting us at a little bit over $2 million over budget. I had set aside $2.4 million for program contingency. That ate up pretty much everything right off the top, which made me extremely nervous. But these are all projects that are high priority projects.
Was
that Blake that added those two?
No, it wasn't. I'm not the only one that.
Gotta fight money.
What I see is I'm not the only one that can joke. No, I do have a question. Would it be, cause I get it and there was some need, for TK with the increased enrollment and this and that. But when you look at these 5 projects, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. Would it be possible if we say, for argument's sake, move the Del Air modernization to Series B and completed these other projects first?
We have options. We certainly have options. The reason why I brought this up to you now is to start considering, I hope by the next update, I'll have the rough order of magnitude for all projects so that we can look at this in a more serious look. And then at that point, hopefully make some decisions as to, do we reprioritize projects? Do we de-scope some projects? Do we just pause some projects or just sequence them so that they're closer to the Series B? But they're absolutely right. All joking aside, these are much needed projects which is why we added them to the list. Plus they bring revenue to the district. For every student that is in a seat, it's additional revenue to the district. So definitely it meets the need for TK, but it also brings money to the district. So definitely a good reason to move these projects along. Change the color so you're able to decipher the original versus the added. These ROMs, rough order of magnitude costs, are the hard cost numbers that are high level costs that are coming in, just for reference as well. And here is a very quick summary. Our revised budget with all projects is, as I mentioned, $23.5 million. Our amount over budget with those non-new program ROMs is $2.7 million, bringing our subtotal to $26.3 million, thereby resulting in a shortfall of $4.7 million. That's a lot of money to be in the red. Even if I take advantage of the program contingency at 2.4, that still leaves us $2.3 million, almost basically $2.4 million over budget.
I have another comment.
Yes.
We're in the red on paper. I just want to be
Yes.
clear with the numbers here. I mean, it's making it sound like we're in the red in dollars. We're not really in the red in dollars. Right. You don't like the red.
So it's more in the planning process, we realize, it's almost as if we're planning, we realize that we sort of over-plan projects due to my addition of these two, projects, that we need to pull back on some.
Not over plan, but these are projects that are needed, we just have to determine the right sequence.
Right, okay.
And I think to the point that I think Joanne made earlier, and Blake, you're kind of on the same path, is what I would like to see though is the roof. The roof, the answer needs to be done.
Yeah.
We could hold off on the remainder of that scope work, but the roof needs to be done. So, and then we just found finding and development.
We could potentially kill two birds with one stone and do roofs and HVAC. The exterior upgrades versus the interior upgrades. So there are options, like I said. And again, this, like, is absolutely right. It looks bad on paper, but this is being extremely responsible because we are looking at this from a planning and very, very, very early, extremely early. Even before schematic design, we're way ahead of even schematic design. So we're already ahead of the game.
And Roger just mentioned the prices might go down. So
You're right. No, I would disagree. I would respectfully disagree with that.
Maybe these are the increases in the hard costs,
Correct.
the increases in the soft cost too.
Yes. Right now, the way our contracts are written is that we did not allow any of our architectural firms that decided to pursue and responding to the pool of architects, that we don't allow for what they call a sliding scale in their world. The way architects like to work is they base it on a budget. And if you increase that budget, they automatically get, and I mean, they have to come to the district, give you a proposal, but they expect that, and it's pretty much a given. We excluded the sliding scale from our contracts. We said anyone that's willing to work with district, the district will not entertain sliding scales. Your fee is your fee, unless your scope completely changes. So for the NAC project, the Del Air modernization, the scope is the scope. They cannot come back for additional cost. Plus, I negotiated their fees and I brought their contract down even further. The only one that I do foresee, there's two projects that I foresee increasing. That's the TK conversion project, because that was a very small project. And I, like I said, it was extremely rare to see all walls be load bearing walls. In their proposal, structural was not included because we were just, it was minimal. I saw, and their fee was $85,000, extremely low. I cannot beat them up for more. Now they have to bring in a structural engineer because we have to retrofit the entire building. It's fair. We're changing the scope. It's no longer a minor project like the Del Air TK. It's now a major construction in a small scale. So that one. The other one that will potentially change. TK. No, actually, that's.
Well, this they add to, I think it was this NAC over at,
Yes, but that one was a project that was added after the fact.
I mean,
So, yes,
added stuff
correct.
on the TK side, so
Yes.
obviously that, if we added a classroom, then they deserve to be
Yeah.
compensated for it.
Yes. So they will be submitting, well, they actually submitted a proposal that I'm trying to negotiate.
Okay.
Yes. PBK, what I didn't mention on the projects is that I was able to also negotiate the fees by reducing by an additional $30,000. So I'm actively trying to bring costs down with every single consultant. So even with the ad services. So you'll continue to see that. So just some food for thought. I wanted to bring this to light now. At the next meeting, I hope to have numbers for all of the projects so that we can start making some decisions and get you to start thinking of next steps. Moving on to the Weisberg plus Da Vinci CTE studio. This is a phase one only. The selected lease back firm is Erickson Hall Construction. As you know, the board, both the Da Vinci board and the Weisberg USD board approved the preliminary services contract with Erickson Hall on July 26th and August 17th respectively. We have since kicked off our CTE studio project. on September 7th. Erickson Hall is busy reviewing the drawings, developing their constructability review. They have already started sharing all of their comments in the form of a matrix and a Google Share document that as they're finding comments, those are going directly to SBA, the architect of record for the CTE Studio project, so that they can capture those comments. At the same time, we're doing a parallel path and we're working with a cost estimator, because our goal is to have a cost estimate, a true cost estimate for phase 1 by October 20th. So at my next update, I'll be able to provide also a cost for this project. It'll be shared with the Da Vinci board first, because I think they meet on the 25th, and then the next night we are here with you guys.
And I think we have our next 3x3 meeting also on the 25th. So it's Weisberg and Da Vinci. This will be in just before then, so.
Yeah.
Okay, good time.
Right. Our goal is still to award the GMP February 2024 if the budget comes in where Da Vinci is comfortable. If not sooner, if by October 25th and 26th, it is determined that the budget looks good, start proceeding with the formulating the bid so that we can go out and get that GMP. We could award as early as January and potentially start a month sooner. So that's why those months might change. Our goal is to have the building ready by August of 2024 as well. And closing with some general updates, as I mentioned, we have an RFQ, a request for qualifications / proposals out for environmental services, as well as a request for qualifications for geotechnical services. These are all services that are needed now so that we can start doing surveying and starting our environmental process. Both of these were issued on September 15th. I believe they're due October 6th. 4th. Thank you, Sheree. And we are bringing them to the October board meeting for approval. We also had our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee meeting number 2 on September 21st, brought them up to speed on all of our projects. They seem to be very happy with the progress. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 7th. They meet on a quarterly basis at 6 p.m. Everyone from the public is always welcome to join these meetings. We have been working with PPK on developing some potential templates for project banners or Measure EE project banners. Here's one sample for your review and consideration. The banners would be quite large, 6 feet by 25 feet long, definitely visible. Thanking that community, your Measure EE bond dollars at work, announcing the project, and more or less when that project is expected to start. Any comments?
Expected to start.
Yeah.
All right, can you just take the hyphen out between my two names?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else? Any other questions? That concludes my presentation.
The verbiage says it's coming fall. Is that expected to start or open?
Where's my schedule? We have the schedule. Starting, yes.
We should make.
Can we take-
Starting fall.
Can we
Yeah.
change it to
Absolutely.
commencing or?
Commencing.
Because coming in implies an open.
Commencing calls.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Noemi, thank you for the wonderful presentation, very
Thank you
thorough,
very much.
detailed as always, thank you. All right, board member reports, continue to move forward, Rebecca.
Good evening. I am, was so excited to see that, we were celebrating, Hispanic Heritage Month, at the schools. The sort of Pride Week that we had for it was, a lot of fun to watch, around the district, and my kids really enjoyed wearing my old college shirts that I dug out of the archive for them. So that was a lot of fun. I wanted to just highlight that next Wednesday, October 4th, is Walk and Roll to School Day. The PTAs at the 3 elementary schools have gotten together and have put together essentially like a walking bus stops and their maps, and I'm just excited to see kids walk and ride or scoot together. I know my kids and I have been doing that all school year, and it's been great. And I think it's a great way for us to be promoting safe school getting to school as well as exercise and all of those things that we want our kids to see. So really excited to participate in that next week and hope everybody comes out and does that too, as much as they can. Also, I'm looking forward to consideration of the resolution on recognizing Bullying Prevention Month later this evening. I'll just reiterate some comments that I made earlier this year that as a mom of 2 elementary students, I know firsthand how critical it is to provide a school culture that's nurturing and safe to all of our students, and a school culture that values each child for who they are and acknowledges their differences and similarities. Bullying should not be a harmless rate of childhood that everyone experiences, and it's important that adults both understand how to communicate with youth about a bullying situation, and that we acknowledge that some children have an easier time talking to adults about personal matters and may be willing to discuss bullying, while others may be reluctant to share that information about that situation. And there could be a number of reasons for that, and we just want to make sure that all students are recognized for those, whether they have difficulties related to social skills and behavior, or have other challenges that lead them to stand out. So I'm very excited that we're considering that resolution tonight. That's it.
Thank you, Nelson. I have one item. Just in an effort to continue to improve our communication with our Da Vinci partners. I see that the Robert Wong and his family are no longer here for the meeting. Unfortunately, we're not able to comment during the public comment session. However, I would encourage them and their families to also make those comments and bring those areas of concern to the Da Vinci board. As a lot of people know that we do have 2 different boards. One Wiseburn board, if you will, on the K-8 side. We are a unified board, and Da Vinci is our partner, and they are directly involved on the high school side as well, which are grades 9 through 12. Their comments were primarily regarding their students at Da Vinci, so I do encourage them to attend the Da Vinci board meeting and share those comments and concerns with their respective board. We do have a meeting as well with our Da Vinci partners on our 3x3, as we mentioned earlier, on October 25th. And Blake, if you could please add that item onto our agenda. I'd like to have that conversation in terms of protocols and like when families come to the Wiseburn board and make a public comment. How do we communicate those comments, concerns that Wiseburn receives to Da Vinci such that they can investigate those items and reach back out to the parents? And then also for this board to find out that in fact those items were addressed, right? So that we can close the loop, and that's just an effort to improve our communications between the 2 boards as we move forward. So if we could please add that on the 25th, and we could have a summary of the comments that were provided here that we can share with our Da Vinci partners on the 25th, so that they're aware of the conversation. Other than that, that's my update. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Rod.
Hello, everybody. I just want to make a comment about funding and price increases and cost increases and so on. It's very challenging for a school district, certainly challenging for families and individuals as well, that when costs go up and your income is more or less fixed or dependent on factors that don't change at the same rate that inflation or cost increases do, you find yourself, and we find the board having to make evaluations and set priorities that may not be where we started. And so I really appreciate Noemi and her firm's information, because it gives us a real heads up for what we're looking into, what we're facing into in that sense. And I want to encourage the community to understand that, and I think if you follow the board much at all, you'll know that fiscal responsibility is really high on our list of accomplishments and goals for us, making sure that we provide our students with the best facilities, the best education, the best teams of teachers and staff and so on, and that it becomes increasingly difficult in the times of high inflation to meet those goals. We will continue to do that. It is a much more difficult series of trade-offs that we face into in economic times like this. So encourage our community, and I really respect the board and Blake and all of our team to understand what we're going to make some tough decisions. They may not be popular. We probably won't like them all because we won't be able to afford everything that we want to do or that we may have anticipated being able to do. But I want to let people know we will be responsible. We will make decisions in the best interest of kids and in the best interest of our community. Thanks.
Joanne? I just have one item this evening, and that is I just again want to congratulate Ms. Gloss on being the Teacher of the Year, Raleigh County, and that's very proud. And I did want to thank Rebecca for attending. I was unable to attend, but she represented us on the other board. But thank you.
It's a great event.
And that's all I have. Blake, district leadership report.
Yeah, okay, I'm actually going to ask, can we bring this enrollment update back to the next board meeting? I think it's, enrollment's good. Be happy to share those numbers, but maybe we bring that back to the next board meeting. And
No objection here.
okay. And then we will push on to Dr. Dougal. I think we're gonna talk about, Aflac, right?
Before we leave your comment about enrollment,
Sure.
are you going to be including attendance? Not just enrollment, but what our attendance numbers are?
So we can actually, by then, by.
Or we go together?
Yeah, I think that actually we could, by the next meeting, we'll have a better idea on what our numbers are trending at. So we could, it may even be a more beneficial time to do it, and we'll
Yeah.
have more trending data. So,
Okay,
yeah,
good,
that's
thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to update the community and staff and board as well, is that, as you know, we're going through the open enrollment process right now, until mid-October. And our athletic benefit coaches will be back on sites next week. I do want to let everyone know that our priority is to make sure that all of our employees, all staff members that are eligible for benefits, have up-to-date detailed information that they need so that they can make an informed decision about benefits. We are going through a change. We've been with American Fidelity for previous years, and so we do have a new partner now. And so we know that as we go through change, there's lots of questions and information that needs to be sought by both the employees as well as Aflac, or the benefits provider. Also want to remind folks that we did have the benefits committee meeting in the spring, and that both associations were given the information, were presented with it, and were in agreement with the change. And so do know that our priority once again is to make sure everybody has the right information, and that we will work collaboratively to make sure that they are able to make the decision they need to make for their family for benefits. So they'll be back next week. Make sure to set up your appointments.
Thank you.
Right. And so like I said, I think we will bring that, a secondary, presentation back on attendance next week, and we'll tie it in with ADA percentages over the first few months. Okay, just one update for me. Well, actually, I'm gonna have to, I wanna just reiterate the, recognition of Amy Glatz. Not only was she LA County Teacher of the Year, but she was one of the top 16. So now she's actually, which was the big secret up until that point. But that means that she'll be entered into the competition, if you will, for state employee of the year, for the California Department of Education Employee of the Year. So really excited that she's one of 16 out of 64, I believe, participants within the 60s. So it's nice, really great opportunity for her, really excited for her, and just thankful for the work that she's done with our kids. Next, we'll bring her back to the meeting as well. We will recognize her formally at a meeting. I should say that as well. Next, I see Erica's there in the back. So we do have, as you recall, I sent you all an update. We are looking at the logo that's on the back here and not wanting to duplicate, that logo. So looking at some print material that may be more beneficial for us in our marketing, as well as on print shirts and things like that for the district. We did share the site logos last meeting, sorry. They've been very well received by our PTAs. Erica spent time working with all of the PTAs, I think, by now, which is great. And so we're going to show some kind of a shift in direction a little bit in terms of district logo and we can call it a district logo, we can call it a district, more of a brand in terms of what we would send out on paper, on shirts, hoodies, things like that.
You ready to go?
Go for it, Erica.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's good to be back. We're coming back, like Blake said, with another version of the Wise Money logos. We took an entirely different approach this time, based on some of the feedback that you guys had, and our designers really quickly worked together to put together some new drafts with a different direction. Some notes that they wanted me to tell you from the designers directly. What you're looking at here is just looking at, because you guys liked the fonts, they took the fonts and ran with that a little bit and just kind of played with our motto and incorporating that into the logo, and gave us a circular option as well. So they really wanted me to point out that even though you see that circle option there with the, what they've deemed the primary logo, those two things wouldn't be used together. What they're hoping for is that we could find a secondary mark that incorporates some items from the next slide. You could go to the next slide. I don't know who has that. Oh, pause this. So we played with the idea of a trajectory, right? So with Engage, Empower, and Elevate, there's just this sense of rising up, of moving forward, of progress, of future ready. And so we really wanted to play with that. And so the designers, again, kind of put together some really rough concepts here of what that could look like. So we wanted to be a little bit more forward thinking. And so they hope that we find a trajectory within these that maybe we like. And so today I really wanted to get your feedback and your thoughts on these different trajectories and these images. If anything speaks to you and feels like it's kind of the direction you all would rather go with these logos, that's what I'm here to kind of assess with you all. And then the second note they wanted to make sure that I shared was that they're looking for feedback on the look of the different trajectories and which feels the best, and that once we figure out a trajectory shape, then we can change the rocket to be a different rocket or a different paper plane. Those things can be changed, but we just wanted to kind of get a sense of what spoke to you. And the last note she wanted, the designer wanted me to share, was that they did leave in the swoosh lines kind of in that bottom row. I think they weren't leaning towards those because they're a bit reminiscent of Nike maybe, so, but they just left them in there just so you can see kind of some possibilities. Can we go to, let's try this if it works. There it is, okay. They also played with the idea of gradients, just to give you another look. And then we'll go to the last slide as well. And again, just playing with those idea of gradients and what the circular logo would look like with a primary logo and a gradient with a trajectory in it. Again, though you wouldn't have that first logo here. You wouldn't have that WSD paired with the actual primary logo text. So they were just trying to give you guys some things to think about and maybe consider. And so what I would love to do is get your feedback so I can go back to the designers to refine these designs.
So on the secondary logo, primary logo, I don't have much to say, but on the secondary logo, I really like the I think it was 8 that had the 3 lines in it, but wonder about it maybe pointing up just a little bit or something, you know?
Yeah.
But I like the multiple lines on 8.
I think that was really nice.
Which is the third row middle one. Yeah. Yeah, because what struck me was when you go to the circular ones, it like that, not that one, but this one, if it was the 3 lines, but pointing at.
Right, yeah.
I would prefer that we don't pick any sort of vehicle, because these are all very dated, and anything we pick will be dated. So the arrow or sort of directional concept is way better than picking a vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could also kind of like that in this case, there's 3 in the center there. It also reminds me a little bit of like what we have out here in the front at the opening of the high school with the stealth spider. Even though it's not the actual shape of it, it's similar, but I do like also the concept of it rising up versus just staying constant.
Yeah,
I like it, like to go up.
like the top right one, but with the 3 lines.
Yeah, I like the 3 lines, not like full on arrow like top right over there,
Yeah.
not like that.
Do you like the red, the color, the red gradient, or?
I'm not opposed to it, I mean,
Go back here, 'cause we like to do multiple options with the gradient.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Anything you see, we can kind of mix and match things. Oh, go back one more?
5, I guess.
Like if you go back like, if there was a way to kind of take that middle one like, Roger and Rebecca were saying,
Uh-huh.
and then I kind of like that. 10, 11, 12,
Okay.
how it goes up like
Gotcha.
that, but with the 3 lines, right?
Okay, perfect.
Archie said that's very Nike-esque, though.
The 3 lines might help.
Might
with that.
help.
It might, yeah,
Yeah, the 3 lines.
Oh,
yeah.
can you go back to the very first slide and help me understand what you're talking about? What's the primary and the secondary?
So the thinking of like, maybe it's easier getting back about the school logos, right? So the school logos, we showed you those slides where we have the main logo, which was the primary logo. So like for the Dana or the, sorry, Weismer Middle School logo, they had this sort of zoomed out dolphin. And that's the logo that they would use on anything official. That's the
Right.
official seal. But they have secondary logos that they could use like perhaps for an internal audience, for a t-shirt or for a water bottle or things like that. So it's not necessarily the public facing, but sometimes that primary logo doesn't work for certain purposes. And so you would then use the secondary logo. So for us, we would probably use maybe the secondary logo on a embroidered t-shirt, right? So it just depends on the use and the audience that you're going.
So there's only one primary logo there,
Mhm, yes.
Top left.
and all the other ones are secondary logos?
Correct. I
Okay.
think their intention though is what she was trying to say with that first note is that you see how they've got the stacked version on the right. It's hard to see. I know the text is a bit small, but that stacked logo, it's got the WUSD in the circle and then the primary logo beneath it. They want to replace that circle with one of the trajectories, kind of how we see on here, where it's you've got them stacked with a different design. So there's a primary logo that does incorporate that imagery, but then yes, yeah, it's still quite rough since they did rush to put these together just so that we could get feedback from you all before the next meeting. So
3 lines also, because it's representative of a contrail, which any space vehicle or
yeah,
jet that goes up will have. Mhm.
I think it's general too that it's, we don't just do STEM, right? So there's more that you can kind of imprint on that idea of that generalized
Yeah.
trajectory.
Uh,
Any other thoughts I can take back to the designers?
All aligned on comments.
Sounds
like
like
it.
That's great. Let's hear it.
3 lines, tilt it up.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, well, I will get that back to the designers. I think they'll be happy to hear that as well.
All right.
So we got to the next. Speaking of the new logos, I'm here to have. I'll just cue it up. Speaking of the new logos, one of the places that we want to use the new logos is on our digital platforms, including our website. And so I'm very excited today to show you a preview of our new website that I've been working on for a while now.
All right.
Yeah, no worries. So Amir's loading it up. I don't know if, generally what I was gonna do is just show you and you can let me know if you have questions about it. There's obviously, it's a website, it's gonna be living, it's very much, there's more to come. We're gonna continue to develop things for it. But very excited to have a newly organized site with, refreshed visuals, a new look that is actually supported by the, final site. Staff, the old theme that we had, obviously, like I said, when we came here requesting the update to the theme is no longer serviced, so it was very out of date. And so I'm excited to show you the new theme once we get it.
So Erica, just maybe we can do just a real quick tour of it. And
Yes.
then, because then can we get a link to send?
Yeah.
So maybe I can send a link
Yeah, we
around,
have a
so.
live preview site and that's what I'm showing you today. You all can access and click around and provide feedback. Getting it up. Thank you. All right, so this is a new website. I'm just gonna kind of click around. You can see already from the jump, we've got much more of an emphasis on visuals. We've also reorganized the site so that there are a couple new sections, specifically the student experience section, and we've kind of redeveloped the enrollment section as well. I'm gonna scroll down. We've got 3 different nav bars. This mouse is not quite working, sorry. got 3 different nav bars at the top. It's a little tricky to see, but we have, this is consistent with our current site as well. We have you can navigate back to the district site as well as our school sites. There's also a portal for staff, which we are actively using. With Eileen, helped put together a staff section for that and her team. We also have quick links here for calendar, like the pages that we know families want to visit the most, calendar, menus, and as well as an external audience, careers. And then within our main navigation, we have the about section, the our schools section, both consistent with what we already have. Again, that new student experience section, as well as a new safety section, news and events, which is a new one. Used to be buried under resources and district communications, so I'm very excited to have that one up a little bit more prominently. We also, again, have the school board prominently featured in the enrollment section. On this slideshow, we also have prominent links to these sections within our enrollment section. I don't know how there are 2 mouses on there. Is that me? The second one? Is that you? Okay, I don't know. There's another one. And then we have a lead up into further into the site. So throughout the homepage, we're just trying to lead people deeper into the site, obviously. And so we're really taking that marketing angle of trying to talk about what our district is about and what makes it great. So this leads into that student experience section. But before I get into that, I'm going to look at news and events. Again, have more prominent placement on our website and a much cleaner look to them as well. And finally, there you all are. We have, again, leading deeper into the site, the Board of Trustees page, the Measure EE page will be featured prominently as well. And then we have the Inquire, Visit, and Apply, which again lead us into the enrollment section. We can continue to add links to this section and it's not static, but for now we wanted to start with those.
What's the actual, when you go to Weisburn? Yeah. What's the first thing you're gonna see?
This page. Like if you go to wiseburn.org,
Yeah.
yes, this page. Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, this is the home page.
This page right
Yes, yeah. So it's just replacing our existing homepage and so I'll go and put the student experience page and we'll see a preview of that. But if you have anything you want to look at specifically, I can do so. So student experience, again, it's really trying to reach both our current audience, but also that prospective family audience. And so we have a lot of information here. We had to develop a lot of stuff for this, but and again, we'll continue to develop it. But we're trying to feature just interesting and engaging visuals, information about what the student experience is like in our schools. Again, you can really browse through these. These are some of the highlights of student experience in our schools. And we even incorporated some quotes. A while back, we did a great project with some Weisburn families. Eileen led this project, so thank you, Eileen. And we grabbed all these great quotes from families and they've kind of sat there waiting for this opportunity. And so I'm glad we could incorporate some of those from families who love our district and just were able to highlight those things. And then again, just kind of the same look and feel here. Let's go to the enrollment section.
One of the major differences is that compared to the old is the pictures and the graphics for
Yes,
sure.
yeah, that was the big focus for this. I mean, the whole project is really about updating the look. Because again, that theme that we were using was a bit outdated and not even serviced by Final Site, unfortunately, anymore. So yeah,
Organization of the content, well.
yes, organization of the content
Right,
too.
user friendly.
Right, yeah, trying to make sure it's easier to find what you're looking for on our site, and also trying to be cognizant that the people that may be coming to the district site are really the ones that may be considering enrolling in our schools, and so trying to give them the content that they would want to see, specifically like that student experience page, right? And all the sub pages that go beneath that.
So when you use an acronym like that, you've got Weisburn USD, the assumption is people know what that is.
Yes, it would be. We could spell it out certainly, but I think that throughout the site,
Not
I mean,
everywhere, but somewhere.
yeah, we do have it spelled out in the top. So
Got it.
yeah, so the assumption would be they can kind of piece that together based on, you know, what exists at the top in the header.
All right.
But yeah, that is a good question.
I live in a world of acronyms.
Yes, we try to avoid jargon as much as possible. I very much feel that. As much as possible when I'm writing things out, you know, there are a lot of acronyms in academics, and so I spell them all out because I'm talking to an audience that isn't familiar with those terms, right? Yeah, so absolutely. The exception being Weisburn USD, I think.
It's on the top.
Okay.
Erica, I'm also wondering about just keeping the menu as you scroll, like
If it's-
will it
it's
be,
there.
yeah.
That's a great question. We can check with Final Site if that is an option.
Yeah,
Um,
just because it's like trying to jump back up
Jumping
and
back.
I see you scrolling all the way up and
Yeah.
back, you know.
That's a-
I know I do that a lot, is to
Yeah.
like click through, at least have the hamburger menu or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
It's like a
see.
spreadsheet where you keep the top column, the top row. Yeah.
Great question.
Maybe you get a link and then I can share it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's, I just wanna say the amount of work that went into this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
For Erica to do, and I just thank you for.
Jason as well. I
Jason,
really
sure.
want to shout out Jason Neely as well. He's been-
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal.
Not
All right, forget you.
Give you all the credit. Lot of work and a lot of time, a lot of content.
First impression is super inviting.
Good,
Super
okay,
light.
that was the goal. That's definitely the goal. Good, okay, yeah, we have a ton of them. We just wanted to use them and the old site was tough.
For all
to-
of these, like,
Yes.
people photos.
Yeah, the
right?
photos that we're using have been cleared. The students have photo permissions. That's a great question. Any other thoughts? Anything else you want to see before we pass along the link or?
Looks great.
Awesome, okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you
for
all.
all
I
the work.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
That was a lot of effort.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
all right. Blake, I think we're still on you. Any other?
Let me, I have no, no, I have nothing further.
Okay. Public comments. Public comments on agenda items. Do we have any public comments on agenda items?
No, not here.
All right. We'll move on to consent items. Do I have a motion for 10.1?
Summer.
You,
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger. All in favor?
Hi.
Next item is resolution, item 11.1, adopt resolution 23/24.07 proclaiming October as bullying prevention month.
I'll move.
Make oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
I was gonna recommend, I know we have been typically in the practice of reading the entire resolution. I was asking maybe the board would consider us not reading word for word every resolution. We could post it, but Dr. Ingram would certainly be able to come up and give just a 2-second sentence either way, description of the resolution for that month or resolution that we will.
I think it's a great idea.
I wanted to just amend my motion for 11.1 to be 11.1 and 11.2, both resolutions.
Okay.
Amend my second to include both of those items. 11.1 and 11.2.
All in favor?
Did you?
Did we?
I didn't see her. Sorry.
These are pretty self-explanatory. These are pretty self-explanatory this month, but.
Excuse me. Yes, so Bullying Prevention Month is a nationwide initiative aimed at raising awareness about the issues of bullying and promoting safety on our campuses, respect, kindness, and inclusion. And these are things that we promote of course throughout the year through our social emotional curriculum, our disciplinary practices, just kind of our everyday dynamics and systems. But for this month, excuse me, we want to, of course, acknowledge and celebrate with the rest of the nation. And so our counselors put together spirit periods for this month, where Fridays during the month of October will be Friendly Fridays. There's a theme for each Friday, so across the district, the schools will have the same theme. So the first Friday will be just a kickoff with general information. And then school unity, empathy is a superpower. And then work problems out with kindness. So those are the Friendly Friday themes so that we can acknowledge and celebrate bullying prevention. For Red Ribbon Week, which we're acknowledging the 23rd through the 27th, that'll be a spirit week. So again, we focus on healthy practices and healthy choices. For the older students, they might get some information about preventing substance use. For our younger students, it's healthy decision making, healthy physical choices, healthy mental health choices, and that's what the themes are related to for that month as well.
Excellent, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 11.3. This is related to the public hearing earlier today. This is resolution 2324.09, textbook and instructional materials compliance for 23-24.
All motion.
Thank you, Joanne. For a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Item 11.4, approve an agreement for legal services. For the motion.
I'll move.
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Rebecca, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and I want to thank Blake and folks for doing this research for us. We specifically requested this, so it's great. Thank you.
Item 11.5, approve Suffolk Community Advisory Committee representative. Do I have a motion?
Yes,
And it should be Rebecca.
it's fine.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And just make a comment. Can I just make a comment?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I served in this position before I joined the board, and so since I've been on the board, the position's been vacant, and I'm super excited. This parent actually reached out to me. I am the administrator for a parent group on Facebook of around students with disabilities, and this is someone who is active in that group, and so when we said we needed a representative raise their hand, so thank you very much to this person for taking this on for us. The CAC is really a great source of information, I think, for our families, providing that information from the SELPA. So excited that Weisberg once again has representation to participate in that. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
12.1, this is the award of agreement that Noemi spoke about earlier for the 135th Aviation Sports, awarding to PBK for the design services of the Weisberg High School Soccer Fields project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 12.2, adopt resolution 2324.04. This is approving the energy services master agreement with Site Logic for the purpose of design, construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of renewable energy generations, solar panels throughout the district at selected sites as mentioned here in the item. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Joanne. Second. Thank you, Roger, and I just want to say thank you to Blake, Noemi, and also I know Hugh Lee was involved, and obviously Site Logic that's in the room for all your hard work, and we finally bringing this together. So thank you for everyone involved. Do I have all in favor?
I'll add comment too.
Sorry.
I want to thank Site Logic and Noemi especially and Blake for your great synopsis in email about where we are with the various questions that we had asked about the agreement. And I really appreciate your willingness to deep dive into all the questions that we had. Because I know that some of the parts of the agreement are probably out of the norm for you. And we appreciate that because it is in the interest of cost containment, in the interest of safety, in the interest of buying American, and really appreciate your attention to those questions and a positive result with all of that. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Joanne, any other?
I have a comment. I think everybody can see the due diligence that the board goes through and asks a lot of questions. You probably haven't seen that necessarily in other school districts, but we read all the contracts, all the documents that come before us. And I do want to say that you've also been very responsive during this process. And also with our program managers and NAS, we're looking to assemble a very high-performing, high-quality team. So while in anticipation of a positive vote with my colleagues here, I'd like to welcome you to the Weisberg Unified School District on a very, very exciting project as we bring on an additional partner. Thank you.
That's it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, action items, personal.
No, so we could probably take the three together and then maybe ask questions individually on them.
I'd like to make a motion for 13.1 through 13.3.
Second.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Rebecca. Any comments?
I just want to know why we have to have 13.1.
Yes, so with the new TK requirements, each of the teachers that teach our TK have to have at least 24 units, or, they have to meet one of those requirements. And if they do not meet those requirements, the board has the authority to also say, hey, we're gonna use a combination of these requirements to meet that highly qualified standard, sorry. This is very similar to what we do each August for our multiple subject teachers at Weisberg Middle School who teach single subjects, say English or math or science, that we're saying that their classroom experience is that standard to show that they are highly qualified to teach those students.
So this is essentially the way that we approve a deviation.
Correct. Correct.
And we're approving this, but if we do approve this, let's say we're approving a Weisberg specific approach to deviation.
Correct. The board is basically authorizing that we will use a combination of requirements to meet that standard of highly qualified.
Okay.
So, they would have classroom experience, they would have those units, they might not have 24 units, right? They might, so it's a way of showing that they've used multiple measures to ensure that they met that standard.
Is that likely to make it easier for us to find people? Is that what we're trying to do?
One of the things, and so with this TK credential, not only do they need the multiple subject credential, the state is also requiring that they have those ECE units or that they've taught preschool. And that is somewhat of a unicorn that we're trying to find. Sometimes that have multiple subject and have taught preschool. But if they have taught, say, TK or kindergarten prior to 2015, that works, right? And so what we're saying is we're trying to use multiple ways for them to meet that standard.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you. Right, upcoming dates and events, Blake.
So I know Rebecca shared the walk to school, walk or roll to school event. So next Wednesday, we have Noche de Familia 929. That's at Holly Glen. We also have Family Literacy Storyteller event at Holly Glen, and that's happening at 4 p.m. on October 4th. We do have a board meeting that's scheduled currently for October 12th. I think we have a conflict for that particular night. So couple options, and maybe we just discussed it here. We could move that date back, which I would actually recommend from an organizational or operational, I guess, standpoint sorry, I'm just pulling this up. It would end up being the 19th of October. So we split the difference, basically. It just gives us a week. So we did one meeting in October and it would be the 19th.
It wouldn't be here the 26th. The 19th?
That would be the
Single meeting.
single meeting in October. Yeah.
One of us may not be.
Or we could do the 18th. I mean, we could do that week. I mean, okay, we can't do the 18th.
What about the 17th by any chance? Anybody available the 17th?
If the earlier we are in the week, the better.
Would the 17th work?
I think so.
Board meeting on the evening calendar.
I mean, I would just in the interest of getting it in. I mean, yeah,
What day, Blake?
Okay,
be the 17th potentially.
Good, the 17th.
Right now, it looks good.
yeah, the earlier in the week is
Okay.
good.
I hope Dr. Goldman's in town. That's good.
Yeah.
I might still have a conflict, but.
How about, that's tentative. How about we send out a message
Yeah,
and then
please.
we
Okay,
can work
yes.
that out. Okay. And then we'll just publish it. through Instagram and Facebook and whatever else we do. No, that's it. No,
All right, that concludes the meeting.
no need for a second close.
Even better. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone.